In a few words, the new Longines Legend Diver is amazing. I fell in love with it even since the first renders, and it conquered me when I've seen it in flesh. And it took around 2 seconds to convince me to buy it. The Longines Legend Diver received a second life. Although the 42mm version was a correct reissue after their iconic super compressor of the 60s, it was sadly off-grid proportions-wise for the modern watch enthusiasts. And since this was quite an important watch for the brand, being practically their most relevant diver, they made one of the most natural moves I've seen lately, and they made it smaller and loomed. Believe it or not, this was one of the most exciting purchases I've ever made. Although I bought a lot of heavy watches this year, this was the most exciting one for sure, because I wanted a Legend Diver for a long time, but I never had the courage to pull the trigger on one because size-wise I was never happy with the specs. However, I feel like this model was precisely tailored for me. It basically ticked all the boxes I was hoping to find on the LLD. This is not an intermediary size between the 42mm version or the 36mm one. The 39mm version is a completely redesigned Legend Diver, with the purpose to make it actually and appealing for those who really wanted a wearable Legend Diver compressor. And my word, they did it. The new 39mm version is way better balanced proportions-wise, received more lume, a redesigned dial, and on top coming up with a new generation of beads of rice. I think the Legend Diver through this release finally received the awaited respect and focus. Longines invested a lot in the image of the 42mm LLD. The Legend Diver was an important piece for their past, having actually just a few heritage divers on their records. And in my opinion, it had to be elevated to the brand and the people's expectations. I am a fan of compressor divers, and the LLD was one of the most representative in this niche. But as I said, I never could have justified the purchase of a 42mm version, considering it pretty big, wide, and the lack of lume plus the price made me rethink my options all the time. But the way Longines fixed the new Legend Diver is hard to deny it. There are pretty much no inconvenience. As appearance, the new Legend Diver feels formal, elegant with simple curves and lines. This is a diver, but in this combo with an inner bezel, a beads of rice bracelet and a beautiful box crystal on top, it simply looks formal and refined. And I can honestly see myself wearing this compressor as a one-watch collection because it is adaptive and comfortable. This type of a watch can be pulled out as an elegant watch because it is a reflective refined piece, because it's robust, anti-magnetic and more legible now, but as a diver because it has what it takes. And its brand reconnaissance is not bad either. Now, the dial is one of the reasons why the LLD is an attractive watch, because it combines so many styles of long, thin elements and markers combined with numerals. In fact, I started to be a fan of numerals on the dial, and this was an extra detail which made me to fall in love with it. And it's quite interesting how the markers are embossed onto a lacquered surface, but I assume since the brand decided to put more lume on the dial, the markings had to be embossed. So the new model comes with multicolored accents. We have Swiss Super Luminova combined with green lume. And what is amazing, although in general the diver's lumed markers pretty much closes the composition of a dial when ignited, in this case it is the opposite. The lume is concentrated towards the center and the lumed elements feels to fade towards the exterior thanks to the micro lumed dots planted towards the inner rotating bezel. And I personally would have seen more lume on the inner bezel, including the numerals instead of only the triangle. But what is interesting, Longines made the color code to match the diving purpose of the watch, making the minute hand blue as well as the blue triangle. So as updates, the new LLD was pretty much tailored towards the actual trends with more lume and more lumed surfaces. Compared to the 42mm version, this model has now lume on the entire hour hand and not only on the top part of the arrow. And the second hand received a lumed arrow as well, the older version having a non-lumed needle, and the minute hand now it's made into a discrete sword shape, adding here the numerals which are as well lumed. So the watch was adapted to our current needs, Longines coming up with a smaller diameter with shorter lugs and a convenient lug width, but without ruining from the DNA of the 60s LLD. and the case keeping the same simplified, elegant design with an interlaced brushing on the sides and a polished front. Plus the iconic super compressor crowns with hashed facets, which back in the days were indicators that this is a super compressor watch. Which is not the case today. The super compressor concept patented by Erwin Piqueres in the 60s was relying on the back case, which was putting pressure on the O-ring gasket, so the deeper you were going, the more sealed the case was becoming. However, today I'm not sure if such concepts are applied to the modern super compressors. And then as specs, the new LLD has a stainless steel case measuring 39mm in diameter with 47mm as lug tip to lug tip, 12.7mm in height, 20mm between the lugs and weighs 140 grams with the bracelet. As a small remark, although it feels to be tall, the watch wears very slim because proportions-wise, the box crystal occupies pretty much from the height of the entire watch profile. So we have a box sapphire crystal, 2 screw-in crowns, the top one when unscrewed rotates the inner bezel both ways and the bottom one sets the time. The case ensures 300 meters war resistance, and if we flip the watch, we have the Longines representative diver engraved on the case back. Inside we have a COSC certified automatic movement, the LL8 based on the ETA L31 L11 with 72 hours power reserve and a great accuracy. Mine sits at +1 second per day. So the 39mm Legend Diver is offered in 2 color versions in blue or black, offered on bracelets, leather or NATO. The price difference is not that big between the bracelets and the rest, so the bracelet sits at 3,000 Swiss francs and the leather NATO options are offered at 2,800 Swiss francs. I got mine with a decent discount, so I'm very happy. Now, my mindset towards the bracelet was the following. There is the saying, always buy a watch on a bracelet. However, because I've seen and experienced a lot of beads of rice bracelet, I've seen it as a cliche and I honestly was interested only on the watch head. But when I've seen the taper, the quality and the fitment with the case, I said, this must be it. The bracelet is very nice, I dare to say the best beads of rice I've ever tried. With an elegant taper starting from 20mm ending up to 16mm with side brushed links and polished beads. The clasp is not that techy, it's pretty simple, long and elegant, with 2 buttons, 5 micro adjustment points and a polished center surface, which reminds me honestly of the pre-Rolex's clasps. Scratch magnet. And overall I find the bracelet rather elegant than the bracelet of a tool watch. As comfort, this diver sits very well on the wrist and the perception of the watch is actually thinner than the specs indicated due to the slim profile combined with a tall box crystal and a flat caseback. And the bracelet beads are well tailored, being independent, they offer quite an unexpected comfort and refinement in the same time. What I like besides the bracelet combo is the fact that this black dial version works with a lot of strap combos in many colors. It works with NATOs but also with colored rubbers without ruining from the dial charm. So I'm once again super excited for this release and for this purchase. I did scan carefully every material from their website in regard to the model, and as I said, it seemed that the watch has ticked all my boxes plus my specific demands, and in real life this watch indeed delivers. As a conclusion, the Legend Diver is an absolute beautiful watch with roots from the 60s, which was built based on the super compressor principle, a patent held by the case maker Erwin Piqueres. And I bet, as you guessed, the modern Longines Legend Diver will qualify as a brave beater on the channel in the position number 54 in the Hall of Fame, alongside other iconic divers. To keep it short, hope you enjoyed one of the last episodes of the year. More interesting ones are coming up. And as usual, if you're new around, please consider subscribing for future episodes. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be brave and stay safe.